Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's session. In our last session, we have gone through the chef and we covered the chef. So, we already saw how we can use the chef, how we can create the roles, attributes, and we discuss about like the cookbooks, recipes, how we can uh, create these cookbooks to manage our infrastructure and automate the process of various application installation and configuration that we can commit inside the chef, and then use the chef to control all the other nodes. We discuss about the master client architecture that the chef follows, and how the chef client can contact the master server and implement the configuration changes that we have passed through the chef automatically on the instance. So today we are going to perform the lab for the chef, and for the lab I hope everyone has the VMs ready for the chef. We are going to require just two VMs for this chef lab. Okay, one will be your chef workstation. The chef workstation is the node where you are going to create all your cookbooks, recipes, and everything. And from this chef workstation, we are going to interact to the chef server, which is going to control all the chef node. So we are going to require one more VM, that is our chef node. This can be any of the VM which is running your web server, database server, caching servers, security servers, or even your build and release servers. It can be anything in your infrastructure, whatever apart from the workstation that you are working, that you want to control from the chef, you can think of it as a chef node. In our lab environment, we are just going to create one of the chef nodes, but in a production kind of environment, chef can handle any number of nodes that you are having. Okay, so even if you are having the thousands of the node to be controlled, you can easily control them through using the chef. Okay, so anyone having any questions still here? Because now we are going to start with the lab. All right, so let me log into these servers. So I'm quickly going to log into this workstation. All right, so our workstation node is ready. Let me open the chef node as well. Okay, the other node for the chef. All right, so our both the nodes are ready now. Okay, so we are good to go ahead and start the lab session now. Okay, so the very first thing is like we are having the 192.168.33.11 and we are having 192.168.33.12. Now 33.11 node is the node that we are going to assign as a chef workstation, and the 33.12 node will be the our chef node on which we are going to install the web server and perform the other like run the chef client over the. So the very first thing that we are going to do is we are going to assign the host names, change the host names so that whenever you are later doing the practice, you can easily figure out that when we are working on chef workstation and when we are working on the chef node one. Okay, so just take the sudo and you can change the host name using the hostname ctl command, hostname ctl set hostname chef workstation dot. Okay, and if I run the bash, you will see the chef workstation has been set up. Okay, similarly, we are going to repeat the same steps on the other node as well. Sorry, we have actually switched. This should be the chef workstation and that should be the chef node. So let me quickly change this. Chef node dash. Okay, all right. So this one is set. Is it clear to everyone? Till here we have set up the hostname for the chef. Okay, and let's make an entry inside the etc host file as well, so that we are easily able to resolve using the host name. Now we are not having the fully configured DNS. That's why we are doing this. If you are having a fully configured DNS in your environment, then you can skip this one. Uh, Nitishri, by swapping you mean swap between two VMs? Like I have opened two putty terminals through which we are doing this. All right. So you can assign the IP over here. 33.11 belongs to the chef workstation. Okay. And 33.12 belongs to our node. Okay. So we can say this as chef node. Okay. So this is the entry that you will have to do on both the nodes inside the etc host file. So let's just copy this because same configuration we will have to do on other node as well. So on chef workstation, it has been done. On chef node, just open the etc host file and paste there as well. Okay, and save it. All right, so that was like a pre-requirement. We are done with that now. Okay, and we are ready to begin the chef installation now. Okay, anyone having any queries still here, let me know. Otherwise, we are going to start with the chef now. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to uh, clear is like we are going to use the hosted version of the chef. Okay. And we already discussed like chef comes in like three flavors. It's one is the open source chef, then is the hosted chef, and then you can use the chef enterprise as well. Now, open source chef, it comes with a limited set of features, so we are not covering that. Okay, it doesn't have any support for the organizations, and also that's why I have not included the open source chef. Then comes your hosted chef, which is free to be used on 10 of the nodes. More nodes, then you will have to pay them. Now you don't need to worry about the availability of the chef server. This is like managed by the chef itself, so it's always highly available. Okay, and you can quickly start using the hosted chef. Next comes your enterprise chef. Now enterprise chef are for the enterprises which don't want to run the receipts externally on the hosted servers, but rather want them to be managed internal to their environment on their own servers, in which case the chef server availability would be managed by the team in the enterprise who is handling the chef. Okay, and you will need to buy the license for working on the chef enterprise. Okay, so we are going to use the hosted chef. Let's go to the so you can open your browser and go to the chef.io. Okay, this is the official site for the chef. Okay, so uh, inside the chef.io, go to the logins and go to the management console. Okay, so it will ask for a sign in. Okay, let me try. Now, if you are not having an account, then you can simply sign up for the account. Okay, go ahead and click here to get started, and it will ask your email address and a verification mail. Once you enter that information, it will allow you to create the account over the hosted chef, and then you can go ahead and use it. Okay, so I will sign in through my email ID. All right, so there we go. I'm already having few of the organization set up. Okay. Now I'm going to create a new organization. Okay. Now this is not the first screen that you will get. You will get a first screen like this. Okay. The create organization as soon as you sign up. I didn't get this screen because I have few of the organizations which are already created in this account. Okay, but every time you first time log in or subsequently log in, then it will ask you to create the organization. If you remember, the organization is a logical differentiation between the different environments that we are managing or different verticals within a company. Okay, so you can create your own organization and take a full control of your organization. So if there are other teams in your organization which is also using the chef, then your configurations would be isolated from theirs while you both are logging to the same chef account. Okay, so go ahead and uh, you need to pass a full name for your organization, so we can do something like chef demo, and a short name, so we can say chef demo prod 2. Okay, okay, all right, so I have just randomly selected some name. the best way to select is on the basis of your organization and the vertical that you are handling. So let's say if you are working in some wallet based company which is providing wallets or e-commerce or something like that, then you can appropriately select the name to identify your team and your vertical. Okay. All right. So go ahead and create the organization. Okay, so it says this is already in use. Let's So that organization name now, because it's a hosted environment, so that organization name should be unique across all the accounts, because Chef hosted is being used by the multiple companies, so someone should not already have used that name, otherwise it will not allow you to create that name. Okay, now once you have signed up for an organization, make sure you have selected that one. If I refresh this, so you will see now my organizations comes Chef Demo Prod 44. Okay, and I can go ahead, and the very first thing after creating the organization is to get your starter kit. So click on the starter kit, and you can download the starter kit from here. Now, what is the starter kit? Now, if you the starter kit allows you to interact with the Chef server. Okay, so it has all the authentication credentials, everything to get the Chef workstation that we are going to create in our environment to authenticate to the Chef server. Okay, this is how the Chef server knows that the Chef workstation, which is trying to connect to the hosted Chef, is the appropriate or server which can authenticate and connect to the hosted Chef. Okay, let me download this, and once I have installed the starter kit on our Chef workstation, then I will show you how it authenticates the Chef server. Okay, so click on download starter kit. Okay, and click on proceed. Now you need to be cautious here. This Chef starter kit, you should always download it. Yeah, Janesh, you are right. So it enables the knife. Okay. And the very important thing about the Chef starter kit is like if you downloaded a starter kit and somehow lost it, and you need to again create a workstation, then you will have to reset the starter kit. That will make all the credentials and the passwords which were previously working for the other people will stop working, and they will again have to take the same starter kit from you and then install in order to authenticate. If you again and again click on download starter kit, it will every time change the credentials. So you need to store the zip in your in some place where you can easily reference it. Okay. At the same time, this is the only authentication which the Chef requires. So this should be kept in a secure location. Okay. All right. So now it has been downloaded. Okay. And we will need to copy this over the Chef workstation. Now, before this, let's the another thing is like Chef requires a Chef DK, that is Chef development kit. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so here is your Chef DK. Chef DK is Chef Development Kit. It comes with all the tools pre-installed for the Chef. So whenever you are going to start, you need to first install the Chef Development Kit on your workstation node. Okay, in order to get started. So we can navigate to the lower, and here's the RHEL 7, that is Red Hat Enterprise 7, and the latest version is 3.8.14. So let's just copy this URL. Okay, there we go. and let's copy this. Okay, now we are going to go on our workstation node. Okay, and let's download the chef dk here. All right, so click on enter to download the RPM on your workstation. All right, so that downloads our chef dk RPM. Okay, now let me provide you as well, so you can. Here is the link for downloading the chef dk. Okay, so once you have downloaded the chef dk, it's an RPM file, so you can easily install this on your workstation using RPM hyphen ivh and chef dk. Okay, that will install the chef dk on your system. All right, so let this install. In the meantime, we can go ahead and use the WinSCP, okay, to copy the starter kit onto the remote server. Okay, so open the WinSCP on your Windows laptop. Now, if you are working on Linux, you can directly upload using the SSH. And all right, so you need to provide the remote host IP. Okay, so just all right, so that is your host name and port number, username. Click on advanced. Okay, in the advanced, you can go to the key sorry, go to the authentication. Okay, and here you can provide your chef workstation key. It also uses the ppk file, so just provide your ppk file, click OK, and then save this. Okay, and you can click on login. All right, so we are inside our. Oh yes, Janish, you need to download the WinSCP on your local VM, because the Chef starter kit was downloaded on our local machine. Okay, so we need to install the WinSCP to copy the from our local machine onto the remote server. You need to go to your downloads directory where it has been downloaded. All right. So just a second. Here is my starter kit. So I'm just going to copy this. Let me copy this to the my. There we go. So just move this file over to the here, and it will copy this inside the home directory of the vagrant user. All right, so it has been copied now. Okay, and let's go back to our server. Okay, on the workstation node, and let's we need to copy from the home directory chef starter kit onto the current directory. Okay, now if I run, there is our chef starter kit. So chef dk is directly downloaded and installed on the chef workstation, and starter kit is copied onto the node. So Janesh, you can download this. It's not a hard and fast rule like you need to download this and install like that. Just that once we click on the download starter kit, it gets downloaded on our local laptop. That's why we use the WinSCP. Now you can, if you want, you can directly download on your uh, node as well. Okay, so it's just the way it you have to just copy this. Okay, can't we connect to local machine without WinSCP like SSH? You said, Vishal, for file transfer you will need to use the WinSCP. That is like securely copying the file. SSH only allows you to execute the commands. It will not allow you to copy the files. Okay. uh, okay, all right, so we are here. The chef starter kit is downloaded. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to unzip this starter kit. Okay, so just use the unzip command to unzip the file chef starter kit and press enter. Okay, so we need to install the unzip first. So do yum install unzip -y. Okay, that will install the unzip binary on your system. All right, so that installs the unzip on our system. Vishal, the SCP command can work if you are on Linux system, but if you are on Windows system, then you will have to use WinSCP. Okay, so SCP can work if you are on a Linux system. If you are on Windows, then it will not work. Yes, Janesh, you are right. Okay. So Starter Kit and Chef DK both are installed on the Chef workstation. Chef DK allows you to use the different command line utilities of the Chef. Okay. So it allows you to create the cookbook structure and all of and other development tools that you require. That's what the purpose of the Chef DK is. Now, Starter Kit allows your Chef workstation to authenticate to the Chef server. Okay, so both of them are installed on the Chef workstation itself. All right, so unzip has been installed now, and we can unzip our Chef Starter Kit. Okay, and it creates a Chef repo this time. Once we unzip this, you can go inside the Chef repo folder. Okay, here are your roles and cookbooks. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show you is like how it knows what is our organization and how does it authenticates and how does it know which chef server it needs to connect to, because you might be using the enterprise chef. Then how does the chef knows that it has to connect to that server? So whenever you download the Chef Starter Kit, it creates and unzip it. It creates a hidden folder called .chef. you can go inside .chef folder. Okay, and here you will find basically this is the key file. Okay, you see this is the PEM file through which it's able to authenticate the chef server. Okay, and here is the knife.rb file. If I show you the content of this knife.rb, you will see that it is having our username. This is my username. Okay, it also knows the chef server URL. Here is the URL from which it's getting served, and on the basis of our organization name, okay, it's going to interact and know what specified organization it has to push all the cookbooks and recipes to and download and execute the recipes. This is how the logical structure can be achieved within the chef, and this is how authentication mechanism works within the chef. So you see the client key that it is using is Ankit, this one, and this is the same key. Okay, so clear to everyone how the chef workstation is able to authenticate to the chef server? Anyone having any doubts? Yeah, Vishal. Yes, Vishal, it creates the PAM file key itself, which is used to authenticate. Okay, we haven't done anything in this. It automatically creates everything to get you started. Okay. Another thing is, you see the cookbook path it's following is the current directory, and inside that it's getting the cookbooks. It's looking for the cookbooks. So if I show you, if I get out of this directory inside the chef repo, there is a cookbooks uh, folder already created for you. So any cookbooks that we are going to create, we need to create inside this cookbooks folder. Then only chef is going to realize that that cookbooks has to be executed. Okay. Anyone else having any question till here? All right. One more thing I wanted to show you is if I show you this .get ignore file, okay. Now it's important to understand that all of whenever you are writing the chef code, then you are going to use the git, okay, to manage all the configurations for the chef. Okay, so there is an important configuration like we can't push our files, okay, inside the git repository, the passwords or and like the PAM files, because that are being used to authenticate the chef. Now there are various organizational users which are having the access to the repos, so it's not a good practice to push your PAM files or other secret information inside the repos. So you need to put them inside the .get ignore. Uh, right now it includes, it has automatically set the get ignore for us, where it's restricting the flow of any of the PAM file or any of the encrypted data back secret. These encrypted data back secrets are basically your passwords in the encrypted form in the chef, which it can use to secret, and whenever the chef client runs, it can decode that secret password and run on your node. Okay, that way whatever configuration that you are pushing on your repository is not compromised. Okay, this is from the security point of view. Always remember that you have this .get ignore in place before you commit all the chef code into your own repository. Okay, all right. So, uh, is it clear to everyone till here? Because next we are going to start by creating the cookbook inside the chef repo. Okay. So let's go inside the cookbooks folder, okay, and let's create a cookbook Apache, okay, so that we can use we are going to install the Apache and configure the Apache to deliver us a web page, okay. And now the very first thing the here would be like it's going to install the Apache, it's going to enable the Apache web server, it's going to start the Apache web server, and it's going to copy a index file onto the server so that whenever we uh, whenever we call the server, it's that file should automatically be delivered to us over the browser, okay. So these are all the steps that we are going to configure in our cookbook, and chef should be able to do it automatically for us. So let's start by creating a Apache cookbook now, okay. So right now I'm inside my chef repo and inside the cookbooks directory because all the cookbooks needs to be in this directory itself. So we need to now there are two ways to do it. You can either generate the structure of your cookbook manually, okay, so that you create like the folders and the files for managing this cookbook. Else, you can use the Chef DK to generate the cookbook structure for you. Okay, so let's use the Chef DK and see what it does for generating the cookbook structure. Okay, so you can do Chef generate cookbook Apache. Okay, so this will generate a cookbook called Apache. This will be an empty cookbook and you can organize the code yourself. So it has created the cookbook structure. Okay, if I do ls-ltr, you will see that there is an Apache cookbook being created. You can go inside the Apache cookbook, and over here it has automatically generated the structure for us for our recipes, bugs file, metadata. Okay, now bugs file is being used to resolve the dependencies for a cookbook. Okay, I will show you this later in the session, like how you can use the bugs file to resolve the dependencies. No, Vishal, you don't need the root to perform all these activities. Generally, it's your workstation and the DevOps team members are having the root access. So that's why we are doing it, but you can do it from a normal user as well. Okay. This is your workstation. This is not a server right now. So it's fine. We can do as I like. Okay. And next thing is let's start by creating a receipts. Okay, so we can go inside the receipts folder, and over here always remember that inside the receipts the very first file that the chef reads is the default.rb file. RB stands for a Ruby file. Okay, so that's a syntax. The always dot any of the file which is ending on .rb extension means a Ruby file. Okay, so we can start editing the Ruby file default.rb now. Okay, all of hash is being used for showing comments. So all the lines that you are seeing right now, these are basically the commented inside the receipts. Okay, so one thing I wanted to show you is if we see, okay, you whenever you are writing any recipe, you can take the references from the chef docs, okay, because whenever we write, there are large number of resources available inside the chef, okay, so and with n number of attributes that it supports. So let's say we are going to manage a package resource, okay, so we can directly search for a package in this, and so here is the package resource. You can go to it, okay, and here you will see all the uh, options that are available for you for the package resource, okay. So you can use any of this. Here is an example of how you can create a package resource, okay. So it says package install Apache, okay. So you can reference it. Here it's trying to identify on the basis of attributes whether it's a Red Hat based system, then install package name htdpd, and if it's an Ubuntu based system, then install package Apache 2, okay. In our case, we already know it's a Red Hat based system, okay, so we can go ahead and directly use the httpd, okay. So this is how you can get ideas about the various resources which are available. Then if you are working on Windows, you can use Windows package, Solaris package, and so on. So Chef can run anywhere, and you can directly use the RPM package as well, okay. So we are going to use the package resource here, and the package that we are going to use is the httpd because we are running on the Red Hat based distribution. And then every resource, in this case we are using a package resource, has an associated action with it. So in our case, the action will be to install of this package, okay. So our action will be install, okay, and then you can end this resource. Next, we are going to enable the service. So if you want to check out like what all arguments are supported inside the service, you can again go to the chef documentation and take a reference from there, okay. So we are going to modify the httpd service, okay. Now whenever we are taking any of the resources, then it will have an action. So in this case, the action will be to enable the Apache, okay. So we are going to enable, and we are going to start the Apache web server, and just save it and the resource. Last thing that we are going to do is we are going to use the cookbook file. Now that is again a resource, and we are going to copy a index file that we are going to locally generate on our chef workstation, okay, and then copy it inside the document root, okay, of the Apache web server, so that that file is being served over the browser, okay. So we are going to use the cookbook file, so cookbook underscore file, and we are going to copy this inside the default document root, that is var www html index, sorry, html index.html, okay. And then we are going to associate an action with it. The action in this case will be that it has to copy to this location, okay, that is where www.html index.html on this location on the server, that is the chef node, okay. From our source, the source of this will be our chef workstation. So it has to look for the index.html file inside our chef workstation. Okay, and then the permissions for the file will be 0644. Okay, and we are going to add this resource as well. So this is our receipt. Okay, here we are going to install a package, enable a service, start the service, and then copy the index file onto the remote at a specified destination and change the permission of the file. Okay, so chef is going to perform all of these actions for us. Just save this receipt now. Okay, now, once you have saved this, next thing, we pass the index.html file, okay? But we haven't created the index.html file onto our chef workstation right now. So next, we are going to create an index.html file on our chef workstation. So you can create, go back one directory, okay, inside your Apache cookbook, and here we are going to create a files folder, okay, which has not been created for us. So let's go inside the files folder, and we will create a default directory. Inside the default directory, we are going to create an index.html file. This is the index.html file that we referred in our source, if you remember, and we were copying this index.html file onto the remote server. Okay, this is how you can create the index.html. Go ahead and create, edit the content. Here we are just going to give one heading for our HTML. So I'm typing the HTML for you right now. You can simply copy and paste this. You don't need to know the HTML. This is something which is being provided by your front end team. Okay, so you don't have really have to know the content for this one. So I'm simply passing one heading over here. Close the heading and close the body tag and HTML tag. Okay, so this is our index.html file that we want to directly copy onto our Apache web server, so that whenever we are opening the browser, this index file should be automatically served to us. Okay, so just save this inside your files folder. Okay, and that's it. We are done for creating the Apache cookbook. That is all what is required for creating the Apache cookbook. And now you can go ahead and upload your Apache cookbook onto the chef server. Okay, now for that we are going to use the knife will allow you to upload your Apache cookbook onto the chef server. Okay, so what we can do is we can come out of this directory and say knife cookbook upload Apache. Okay, this should upload the Apache cookbook onto the chef server. All right, so it has assigned it a version and uploading the cookbook. All right, so it says that it has uploaded one cookbook. Okay, so now we can go to our hosted chef. Okay, and inside our notes. So right now we are not having any of the node. If we go to the cookbooks, we need to select chef demo prod. Okay, so here is our cookbook Apache. Okay, inside the chef demo prod 44. Okay, inside our organization, this is the Apache cookbook that we just created. We can check the content of this cookbook. Okay, so there we pass the files, so we can look at the index.html file. Here is the index.html file that we created. We can look at the recipes. Our default.rb file is there that we created. Okay, so this is how you can upload the cookbook onto the chef server. Okay, anyone having any doubts still here? All right, so the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to create uh, we are going to bootstrap a node so that the chef client can be installed on that node. Okay, so guys, do you want a break or should we continue? All right, so I see for the break, let's take a break of 10 minutes and then we will be back and continue with the lab ahead. Okay, so I'm going to put a 10 minutes timer and then we will be back. All right, so I will be back after 10 minutes and then we are going to continue on our lab session. Uh, Hello, everyone back now? Should we start? Janesh, the etc host file is just to resolve the name to the IP address, okay, and nothing else. It's not responsible for connecting to chef.io. Chef.io, it's basically the starter kit that we downloaded. It connects the chef workstation to the hosted chef. That's it. All right, guys, if everyone is back, should we continue with chef ahead? All right, so let's continue. All right, till now, we have uploaded the cookbook, but if we go to the nodes, okay, then you will see that we are not having any of the node in our chef organization. Right now, there is no node. Okay, so let's in chef, whenever you have to add a node in a chef server, to manage that node via chef server, you will have to bootstrap that node. Okay, so bootstrapping of a node is like installing the chef client on a node. Then chef is going to take control of that node and you can manage that node through chef. Okay, there are multiple ways to do this. You can create a script which automatically runs as soon as the node comes up and install the chef client on it. Then you can automatically install the chef client initially and take an image of it, so that subsequently any of the server that you are going to create would have the chef client automatically installed on it. That's another way. And the third way is like doing a service discovery using the console. You can discover any of the node, and then on the basis of discovery you can take a certain actions onto that node, and that will allow you to install the chef client as soon as the node comes up, and it will assume the roles on the basis of the tags that you are passing to it, and then it will fetch the appropriate roles and cookbooks and recipes, and bootstrap the node to make all the configurations live. Okay, so in our case, let's go back to the VM, and here we are going to assign a password for the Vagrant user. Okay, all right. So next, whenever you are bootstrapping a node, you will have to bootstrap the node from the chef workstation. Okay, so on the workstation we can do knife bootstrap, okay, the IP of or the host name. We are providing the IP right now, 33.12, okay, hyphen hyphen sudo, because we are going to run all the commands as a sudo user, and the username, which is vagrant, okay, and the name of the node that we want to display inside the chef server. So we are going to say this as chef node 1. Okay, go ahead and bootstrap this. All right, so it's asking for the password now. Provide the password. And that should start the chef bootstrapping process, and it automatically figures out that the chef client is not installed. It's going to install the chef client automatically after identifying the version, like the base operating system which you are running. Yes, Vishal, bootstrap means that we are installing the chef client on the node and registering the node with the chef server. Yes, Janesh, nodes are basically the servers which we are basically in the different environments. So it can be any of the server that you are managing, okay, in your environment, any type of server, database servers, web servers, application servers, okay. All of those servers has to be bootstrapped and registered with the Chef server so that Chef can control those servers. And that is done by installing the Chef client on it, okay. You will see that after we bootstrap, Chef will gather all the attributes of the server, okay, like how much memory it is having, what is the type of the server, what is the how many cores are there, and things like that. Then it's going to record the IP address and everything, and also assign a name to it. You can directly refer to the server with this name inside the Chef if you are using the Chef, okay. That will be resolved. Right now, it is not having any run list associated with it. Okay, that I will show you how you can associate a run list. So it has initialized the empty run list. Okay, run list is basically what all cookbooks and recipes we want to install for a server. Now we could have created the run list directly by specifying this into the bootstrap, but we didn't do it on purpose so that we can, I wanted to show you how you can associate a run list first, okay. All right, so bootstrapping of the node has been completed at this point, okay. So if we go back to the hosted chef, okay, and refresh this page. So there we go. It shows the chef node 1. It's a CentOS based system, fully qualified domain name. It has identified IP address of our node. Okay, uptime, it's been up for 2 hours. Okay, and all this information. Then you can click on attributes. Here it will show you all the information, all the attributes that it has gathered about the node. Now you have the attributes for the node, so you can use those attributes in your cookbook as well. Okay, if you want to see the memory, here is all the memory which is available on the system. Then your network IP address, virtual box, it has detected that we are running a virtual box, number of CPUs which are available, so 2 cores are available to us, user etc file keys, all the information, okay, of the node it has gathered. And it's showing that we are not having any of the run list associated with it. Default, and right now the environment is default for this node, okay. And we can go ahead and associate a run list. So let's associate a receipt Apache that we created. So we are going to associate with this node, okay. For doing this, let's go back to the chef workstation, and here we are going to do knife node run underscore list, add node name, that is chef node 1, okay. and the receipt name that we want to add. So receipt here is Apache that we created. Okay, so this is the complete command. This will add a run list of Apache receipt to the chef node one. Okay, just and press enter. All right, so it has associated the run list now. Okay, Apache run list. So you can go back to the chef server, press refresh, and this time you should see the Apache recipe run list is there. You see under the run list for this node. Now, since we have associated the run list with our chef node, so we can go to the chef node this time. Okay, and we can run the chef client directly. Okay, now once we run the chef client is going to make a call to the chef server and download the cookbook and the receipts that needs to be executed for that node, and going to execute and bring the node from the current state to the desired state. In our case, the desired state is that Apache should be installed, started, and enabled, and the source file should be copied onto that location. Okay, so if we run the chef client, so it has resolved the cookbooks that the Apache cookbook needs to be run, and it is synchronizing and compiling the cookbook. So it says three resources needs to be changed. Those are the three resources are package resource, service resource, and the cookbook file that we created. So it automatically figures out which operating system we are running. Okay. So it uses the yum package to install the HTTPD. So there we go. It has installed the Apache version 2.4.6, It has enabled the service, started the service, and copied the index.file, index.html file, and the convergence has been completed. All right. Now, one important thing is I told you about the idempotence in Chef. So idempotence basically refers that the if the desired state is same as the current state, okay, then and you can run the Chef client n number of times, but it's not going to make any changes, right? So we just saw that the Chef client run and made the changes. Now we can keep on running the Chef client again and again and again and again, but it's not going to make any changes. So let's try and do it. Let's see if this is exactly what happens. So if we run the Chef client again, then you will see that it doesn't perform any changes. So you see it says up to date, right? So it doesn't perform any changes because the current state of the server is same as the desired state. Okay. Yes, Nitashri, if you do some changes in your run list, let's say I add an additional cookbook or something like that, then the chef, if you run the chef client, then there will be changes and it's going to implement that. Okay. Chef can automatically figure out when there are changes or not on the basis of attributes. Okay. Now we can go to our browser. Okay. And inside the browser, we can provide the IP address, which is 192.168.33.12. Okay. And if we open this, you will see the hello world. Okay. So the index.html file that we created has been served directly in the browser. This is how you can do the end-to-end configuration inside the Chef, and Chef can take care of everything for you. Okay, so that you only like once the Chef client will run automatically, then it's going to pull everything and going to implement it on the n number of servers that you are having in your environment. Okay. All right. Now, Chef provide you can directly list all the nodes that are being managed by the chef from your workstation. So you can do something like knife node list. Okay, this command will make a query to the chef server and going to list all the nodes inside the chef server. Okay, right now we are having just one node, but in a production environment you can have like thousands of nodes, so it's going to list all the nodes for you. Okay. So you see it has provided us. Similarly, you can do knife client list. It will list all the client nodes. And okay, so similarly, you can do if you wanted to get more information about a node, so you can run knife node show and the node name that you want to get information about. Let's say chef node 1. So it's going to show you all the information about the chef node 1. So there we go. It shows the environment, fully qualified domain name, IP address, run list, receipts that are being associated with this node and the platform. Okay. So you can directly make the queries on the chef itself. Now, one thing is chef determines the current state and the desired state. How it does it on the basis of attributes. So how does it gather the attributes from OHI language? Okay. So if you want to see, I can show you the OHI as well. Let's go to the chef node. Okay. And run the OHI here. You will see that OHI will gather all the attributes. So you can get the information about the OHI, what all attributes are available by running the OHI command. Okay. So if I just scroll up, okay. So I can do this like OHI pipe less. Okay. And here we go. So it has identified the kernel version, the release for the kernel, machine type is x86-64, and we are running it on the VBox VirtualBox. Okay, and if we scroll down, then it shows us the disk size. Okay, and the memory which is available. So this is the memory. Then it shows the network cards which are available on this system, encapsulation. So you see it gathers all this information and this is being stored inside the chef server. Okay. So it basically creates an inventory with all the details about the node that you on the chef server itself. Okay. All this information is being passed to the chef server. Clear to everyone how chef gathers all the attributes? Sanjay, you can have like more number of nodes, like there are specific nodes, and then there are workstation, then some of your own servers where you are running the chef. Okay, so if you want to gather all the information about the nodes, that is where the chef client is running, then you can run the node command, like uh, of how we list out all the nodes. Okay, and within the client, it's also going to show you the server information where your chef related servers are also running, so that information will also be shown inside the client list. Okay, now after Ohio, one more thing I wanted to show you is like Knife provides you with a search feature as well. Okay, so you can directly make the searches inside your workstation. So let's go to the chef workstation. Okay, here is the chef workstation. So we can directly do Knife search node. Okay, and let's say star colon star. Okay, and what you want to search for, let's say we wanted to search for fully qualified domain names which are available. So we can directly, instead of going to each and every server and getting the detail, we can directly query the fully qualified domain names for all the nodes. Then it's going to show all the information about all the nodes directly. All right, there we go, it shows us the fully qualified domain name. Okay, all right, so up till now, we have seen how the chef gathers the attributes, and then how we can use those attributes as well. Okay, next is we can pass our own attributes as well, and then call those attributes inside the receipt. Okay, so for an example, let's say we have passed an index.html file. Okay, now if we don't want to change our entire role but pass different index.html file, then we can achieve it through passing our own attribute. Okay, so let's create our own attributes, and then we are going to use those attributes inside our receipts to change the index.html file without changing anything else inside the receipt. Okay, so what we can do is we are already inside our Apache cookbook. Okay, and we are going to create a directory called attributes. These are the attributes which we are passing. This is not something which chef gathers on the nodes. This is the attributes that we are passing. So we created a directory called attributes. We can go inside the attributes directory and create a default.rb file. Okay, inside the default.rb file, we are going to say the default attribute. Okay, for Apache cookbook. Okay, it's the index file is index1.html. Okay, so this is the, we are basically passing an index file attribute for the Apache receipt. and it's going to resolve to index1.html. Okay, now we can save this inside the attributes, and after that we will have to go to the files directly, because we are right now having the index.html, so we will need to create an index1.html that we just passed. So we can do index.html to index1.html, and then added the index1.html. Okay, and let's change the index1.html to pass on the additional headers. So this is our index1.html file, and we can close this. Okay, and we can also pass just some random syntax we are passing. Okay, save this. So index1.html file is ready now. The last thing that we need to do is we need to go inside our receipts. Okay, and we need to edit the Apache default.rb file. Okay, here we are going to change the source basically, and we are going to say the source in this case is our attribute that we pass. So attribute is node. Okay, and the attribute that we pass, so for Apache and index file, so this is the attribute that we want to resolve. So what it will do is, it's at this point it's going to check this attributes value. Okay, we pass this attributes value to be index1.html. So this time it's going to copy index1.html to this location. Okay, this is how you can pass the manual attributes inside the chef. And now we can upload the change cookbook. So we can do knife cookbook upload Apache. All right, so it has been uploaded now, and we can go to the chef node. Okay, and run the chef client now. Since the index1.html file has changed, so it's going to implement the changes when we run the chef client. All right, there we go. It has made the changes. And if we go to the browser at this point and click on refresh, so you will see the additional lines code has been changed now. Okay. So you see, we just pass the attributes. This is a better way of writing the cookbook, because whenever you want to change your index.html file, then you don't have to change every time the content and overwrite the previous file. You can create a new file and include that and change the attribute. Then it will allow you to display the newer file, and you can revert back if you want to do it in future. Okay, this is how you can use the attributes inside the chef. Now, clear to everyone? All right. Next thing is, if we want to delete a node from the chef, hosted chef, so we can do knife node delete and the node name. Let's say chef node 1. Okay. If I press enter, it's going to delete the chef node 1, and then I will have to bootstrap that node again if I wanted to add it to the chef. But I'm not going to do this right now. The another thing that I wanted to show you is the chef supermarket. All right, so that was all from the lab part, but I will show you how you can practice going more on this. Yes, Vishal, you can install other cookbooks as well. Let's say you are creating an MOTD message of the day, or let's say you are installing Tomcat or any other cookbook, then you can do it inside under the cookbooks folder. Okay. And Chef will pick that up and going to run it. You can run as many cookbooks as you want. Okay. On the Chef server. Now, uh, this is the example that I have taken. Now you can go ahead and practice more on the chef from the chef supermarket. Chef supermarket is an community version of the chef, like where they have already written the cookbooks for everything, like whether you are running Nginx, Tomcat, method of the day, any other thing that you are running, you can you will get the cookbook on the chef supermarket. And just type in the search bar, in the search box, let's say I wanted an Nginx, so I can run that, and it's going to gather all the cookbooks for the Nginx. So I can run any of these cookbooks, and it's going to install the Nginx version 9. Okay. And so let me show you how you can do this. Here you will see that each cookbook is written as a dependency for the other cookbooks. Like for installing Nginx, you will have a certain set of dependencies which you need to resolve. Okay. And once you have the Nginx, like those cookbooks are resolved, then only you can run this cookbook. So each cookbook is depending on another cookbook, then that cookbook is depending upon another cookbook, right? So there is a map of the dependencies. Now it's very difficult for the user to identify all these dependencies manually. So what Chef has done is, Chef has provided you with a works file where you can specify all the dependencies. It will automatically resolve the dependencies for you. You just need to specify the cookbook, and it will do it rest for you. So what you can do is, you can directly copy this and go to the, right now we are in the, go to your workstation. Okay. And go to the chef repo directory. Okay. So now we are inside the chef repo. Okay. So create a works file. Okay. Inside the works file, you need to specify the source from where you want to download the pre-written cookbooks. Okay. So let's say we want to download it from supermarket. Okay. .chef.io. This is the supermarket from which we want to download our cookbooks. Then we need to copy the cookbook that we want to download. Okay, you can specify n number of cookbooks here, there's no limit to it. Okay, and then save this and run works install. So works is going to resolve the dependencies automatically and going to download this cookbook for you. So it says it's started resolving the dependencies. Yes, Janesh, exactly. The fields are marked like that only. Okay. So you see, it's actually resolving the dependencies: build essential, Mingex, Nginx, Ohi, 7-zip, Windows. So it's actually resolving all these dependencies and going to install the Nginx. Now, if you have to install and run the Nginx, then you should have all of these cookbooks uh, up and running. Then only you would be able to run the Nginx. So we can go to the cookbooks and do So you can go to the home directory dot bookshelf, and if you do the ls-ltr here, all the cookbooks gets installed here. So here are all your cookbooks. Okay, remember that in, whatever user that you are running, inside his home directory, Works creates a hidden directory of Work shelf, then a cookbook folder. Inside that, all the cookbooks gets downloaded. Now it's up to you. You can directly upload or you can directly copy these cookbooks into your own cookbooks and use it, or you can even do like Works upload Nginx. Okay. All right. So Box looks for the Box file from in your current directory. So just make sure that the Box file is present, then only it will going to work. The main reason, like if you are using the Burks, then Burks basically works similar to how the developers works with the Ruby. In Ruby, we also have like large number of dependencies available in the form of RB. You just need to specify the version, and then it's going to download those versions and run your code. Okay. Similarly, in case of Burks, also uses that fundamentals, and it allows you to automatically download the dependency cookbooks and then allow you to specify the code and resolve everything for you and run it. Okay. So you just need to or modify the cookbook which you want, and rest of the cookbooks will be following that up for you. You don't have to specify that manually. Okay. All right. That's all for the chef. Okay. That I wanted to discuss with you. And anyone having any doubts here? So what you can do is you can directly copy this. Okay. Let me show you. If you can go to the receipts. and here are all the files for you. Okay, by default, whenever you install this works, it's going to get all the functionality of the Apache. Okay, so I would not suggest to use all the functionalities because it's never being used. Okay, so you need to go and check out what all things you need. Okay, just go through this receipt and include only those receipts which you want. Let's say we want the headers to be included, so we can go through this and use the headers one. Okay, now let's say if you are not using the Lua in your HTA, like in your web server, then remove this Lua file. Okay, and you can take the references from here and write your own cookbook as well. Okay, so just go through this supermarket, get the cookbooks and write your own cookbooks. Okay, so anyone having any doubts from the chef, let me know. Otherwise, we are going to start with the puppet now. Janish, apart from chef, we are going to cover puppet, salt, Ansible. The Ansible and uh, Ansible and chef are the most used ones. Okay, then puppet and salt are also widely used. So see, it depends upon company to company. There is no such one thing like which chef can do and Ansible can't do, or Ansible can do, or puppet can't do. You can achieve everything from all of these tools. Okay, it depends upon the company to company how you want, which configuration management tool you want to use. Nityashi, the exact configuration that I have shown you, like for index.html file, how you are managing the source and the destinations. Those are the exact things that you have to do in the chef. Now, on the basis of environment, the configuration might change. So you can create a different source file and provide the name for that environment so that whenever the chef runs, it's going to take that environment file. Another way to implement on the environments is to create a different organization and copy all the code from your lower environments to the upper environments and change the configuration. It depends upon you how you want to do it. Uh, the main objective is to cover all the things which you require for writing your chef configuration. Okay, so whether it's your recipes, cookbooks, run list. Okay, uh, how you or what approach is to be taken in, that really depends. Another thing is for practicing you can use the books to and the supermarket, and you can go through the code to write more refined code, but there is no one requirement. If you work in a production environment you will see that there are different approaches to write everything. Okay, so it supermarket is having some of the best written cookbooks. So once you start practicing more on the chef, then you will become more comfortable with the chef. With respect to chef, can you give a perspective for the DevOps engineer working in an organization perspective, like what may or may not be able to do, task and daily activities, etc. So Vishal, see, day in and day out, if your organization is using chef, then you are going to write those cookbooks, okay, and recipes for everything, like whether you are deploying or whether you are configuring or whether any of the changes that has to be go on your servers, you will have to write the configuration management for it. And then those cookbooks recipes you are going to commit inside your Bitbucket and other repositories, and once the people has reviewed your chef code, then you are going to implement this in a production environment. all the changes once done through the chef will always go through the chef, because chef implements a state, and if you made some manual changes into the servers, then chef is going to determine those changes, and since the desired state is now going to be different, so it's going to override it. And once it overrides the default changes, then uh, your changes would be lost. Okay, so each of the configuration management once has been employed, you will have to make all the changes through those configuration management tools only. Okay, and you can even write the build and deployment for your environment. Let's say you need to run maven clean or maven install, you want to download from the S3 or more such things. You can use the appropriate resources, write the cookbooks for it, and then do the build and deployment through the chef. Now chef can manage end to end and any number of servers, so you will be performing all these activities in the chef from a DevOps perspective. And this is how, when we say that DevOps can create the servers on the fly, it can really sort out the build and deployment parts, it can ease up the deployments, rollbacks. So this is what we are talking about, right? Writing the configuration management to automate all the stuff. And Chef provides you with a large number of resources to to achieve this. Okay. And Chef actually makes it easy to understand the environment, because all the changes would have been there in the Chef. So once you take a look at the cookbooks, recipes, go through the code, you will understand every aspect of your team, like how they are working, how they are collaborating, what all changes to be done, right? And whenever you have to create a new server, do auto scaling and things like that, then it comes in handy, right? So if you are managing a very big environment of more than thousands of servers, then configuration management tools are absolutely must. 100% that you should have the configuration management tools. And DevOps is like implementing the automation, and this is how you implement the automation. Okay. All right, so let's take a break for 10 minutes, and when we are back, we are going to start with the puppet. Okay, though we are not going to complete the puppet today, but we are going to start, and then we are going to complete the theory part tomorrow, and next week we are going to perform the lab for the puppet. Okay, conceptually, all the four are same. The terminology and the way that they implement the functionality is different. Okay, and I have seen I have seen the organization use all of these four tools and many more. Okay, so it depends upon like organization to organization and project to project what configuration management tool that they are using. Okay. All right, so let's take a break, and when we are back, we are going to start again. Yes, a Vishal Ansible is also a configuration management tool. Okay, so everyone back now? Should we start with the Puppet? Okay. So the next configuration management tool that we are going to do is the Puppet. Now, Puppet is also written in the Ruby itself. Okay, and Puppet is one of the oldest configuration management tool. Uh, Previously, the Puppet was using the DSL. Okay, that was the Puppet's own language. It was written in the Puppet's own language. Okay, and later on, it adopted the Ruby as its standard. Okay, so just a minute. We are going to continue. Just one. All right. So okay, so Puppet is a configuration management tool. Just like the Chef, you can use the Puppet to automate the different aspects of the configuration management, server management, build and deployments, and run the configuration. Okay, it has been developed by the Puppet Labs, and it uses the Ruby as its syntax. So just like the Chef, you will find that there is an extensive use of the Ruby while writing the Puppet manifest. uh, we can take an analogy. If you are like fine with the Chef, then we can compare some of the terms that we are going to use in the Puppet to that of the Chef. Like we used to write the receipts inside the Chef, in Puppet we have the manifest. So we are going to write the manifest in the Puppet. That is similar to the uh, receipts within the Chef, and it allows you to create the roles specific to your requirements. Okay, that we are going to detail out more. Okay, and similar to the Chef, Puppet is being supported on different operating systems, so you can run it on Linux, Unix, Mac OS X, Windows. So you can run the Puppet agent anywhere, okay, on these operating systems. And then Puppet allows you to run your infrastructure as in code. Okay, now this there are numerous advantages of running the making your infrastructure compliant with the infrastructure as a code practices, where all you are going to do turn your infrastructure into the similar way of a code using these configuration management tools, and then version those configuration management tools so that any changes that you are doing in your infrastructure becomes repeatable in nature. That is, let's say when we are installing the Apache, okay, for different applications, it's a repeatable process. We have already written the cookbook or the manifest for it, and now we can run it a number of times for different applications, and every time we run it, it's going to install the Apache. Okay, so it's a repeatable process now. Okay, every time we configure, it will be done exactly the same way on every server, right? So those are like some of the infrastructure as a code practices. And if something breaks, then we can easily revert back to the previous commit ID, and then the changes would be reverted back. Okay, so the failures would be resolved at a much quicker pace. Okay, and we can see the logs to see all the changes in our infrastructure, who has done those changes, and a sense of ownership is also brought in the infrastructure. And once you have created your one environment, let's say your dev environment or stage environment, you can easily replicate those environments into the other environments by just changing the configuration. Rest of all the things will remain the same. So the time to create the environments will also get reduced when you are using the configuration management tools. Now you can scale quickly if your traffic is higher on your web applications or mobile applications. You can add the additional servers, or it can be automatically be added using the auto scaling features provided by the AWS. Now when a new server comes up, you can bootstrap that server through Chef or Puppet, and then the agents are going to be installed, and on basis of the roles that has been assigned to that node, you can go ahead and run the configuration through this configuration management tool, and your node will become up and ready to deliver the traffic. Okay, this will take only few minutes to serve or to build up the entire node from scratch. That's why the scaling becomes much more easier with the configuration management tools. Now, another thing is, if you are having a large environment and you have to create multiple servers, then all of the servers will be consistent in a way that you have created the initial server. That is, let's say we have to create 100 web servers. Okay, so we can install the agents on 100 servers, and then whenever these agent runs, all the servers will be configured exactly in the same way. Okay, previously what was used to happen was that if multiple people were configuring the servers, then depending upon their understanding, they are going to configure the servers in the different way. Okay, so you will see that each then the different servers, uh, because the different servers were different, so sometimes you will see that some of the servers are behaving differently as compared to others. These kind of problems doesn't occur when you are using the configuration management tool. Okay, and you can create the specific configuration for your different environments like test, QA, prod, and stage. And then there are alternatives to the Puppet as well, like you can use the Chef, CF Engine, Salt, Ansible. Okay, so all of them, the main goal is same, only the terminology, the architecture, and the way that they implement the changes are different. But once you know one of the configuration management tool, then you will see the same sort of practices are being used in the different configuration management tools as well. Okay, uh, so it's essential to combine the configuration management tool with your versioning tools, so that you have the versioning of each and every configuration that you were doing, and it allows you to track all the changes, revert back to your changes, those kind of things. Okay. Okay, so here is our architecture diagram for the Puppet, and this is the important ones. Okay, so let's try and understand this architecture diagram. So very first thing is the different types of servers that we are having in our environment. So these are the different types of servers that we can have in our environment. Like we can have our web servers, we can have application servers, database servers, virtual machines, hardware, and cloud. Okay, so whether we are working in our own data centers, then we are going to have the virtual machines, or whether we are working in the cloud. Okay, so if we are working in the cloud, then we are again going to have the virtual machines, but they will be remotely running. Okay, but Puppet can run in both of them, whether it's a virtual machine, whether it's a cloud. So the Puppet configuration would remain exactly the same. It doesn't affect the Puppet whether you are running your own in your own data center or you are running on the cloud. Then very first thing that you will have to do is install the Puppet agent on each of these servers. Okay, so Puppet agent is going to be installed on each of these agent, and these Puppet agent are going to interact with the Puppet master. Now this is your master server, and we are going to use the enterprise puppet in our case. Okay, so we are going to use the enterprise puppet. Now advantage of the enterprise puppet is it comes it has the certain set of additional functionalities as compared to the open source puppet. Like you can create different environments, pass the resources and all that. I will discuss more when we install the enterprise puppet, but in our case we are going to use the enterprise puppet. Another advantage is that enterprise puppet comes with a UI. So if you want to use the from the browser, then you can use the enterprise puppet. Open source puppet doesn't comes with the UI. Okay, now the puppet, just like the chef server, can be used for reporting because it gathers all the information, similar to how the puppet chef used to gather all the information through the attributes. It also gathers all this information, and you can directly export the reports for creating the inventories in your environment for all the servers which are being managed through puppet. Okay, so you can easily create the inventories in the puppet. Then there is a GUI workflow. If you are using the enterprise, then you can directly use the GUI as well. Okay, now for the content, that is your recipe, that is your manifest that we are going to create. Okay, all of those contents can be downloaded from the Puppet Forge. Okay, now what is Puppet Forge? This is similar to the Chef Supermarket. There is a community which has already written large number of manifests for the puppet. You can directly take a reference from that and create your own manifest for managing your own environment. Then there is an admin and security, there is an authentication in place, then there is a logging which puppet supports, so that all the changes and everything is there, so you can review that. Okay, so these are all the parts from the puppet master. So you will see that there are basically three main things. There is your puppet master, okay, then puppet agent and the servers, puppet nodes, where you are going, which you are going to control through the puppet master. Now puppet agent is responsible for implementing all the changes from the puppet master to these servers. Okay, so in case of puppet agent, whenever the puppet agent runs, okay, it makes a call to the puppet master for the catalog. Okay, in terms of puppet we say it catalog. So every time the puppet agent run, it will make a call to the puppet master, request for a catalog. Once it gets the catalog, this catalog is having all the information about the desired state of the server. Okay, so once it gets the catalog, then it's going to implement the changes on the servers and bring these servers into the desired state of what we have configured inside the puppet master. Okay, now this entire process of what happens when we run the puppet agent, when it provides the attributes, get the catalog, then again provide the report back of all with the changes that has been implemented. That architecture we are going to discuss in more detail in the when we move ahead. Okay, but for now you need to understand that the puppet agent requests a catalog, and once it has received the catalog, then it's going to implement the changes on these servers. Three most important thing: puppet node, puppet agent, and puppet master. Okay, puppet master will hold all the configuration, and this is how the puppet architecture looks like. No, Natasha. In case of see, puppet manager or puppet, sorry, you said about puppet manager or puppet master. Natasha, you're talking about puppet master? Okay, puppet catalog. Okay, so in case of chef, we used to call it convergence. Okay, if you remember, the term was convergence. the convergence and the catalog are same. So whenever the chef client runs, the convergence occur. Chef client makes a call to the chef server, downloads the recipes and the cookbooks from the run list, and then executes it. That is what we call convergence. In case of Puppet, it makes a call, download the catalog, and executes the changes. Okay, that is what we call catalog. Okay, is it clear to everyone? The three fundamentals of the Puppet. All right, so let's move ahead. Okay, and now here is a Puppet architecture of how the Puppet will look in an enterprise. Okay, so you are first having the multiple servers. Okay, in your environment, this can be your dev, prod, stage, QA. There will be n number of servers depending on this. Okay, and all of those servers are going to connect to the Puppet master. Okay, for all the configuration, and whatever configuration that you have in the Puppet master, you are going to push that configuration inside the Git repository. Okay, so everything would be version inside the Git repository. Okay, so and you are going to directly work in the Puppet master. So unlike the so now there are two ways. Okay, see, a user can work on his own laptop. Let's say a user is here, he can clone the repository and run on his own laptop. Okay, it will be like this, and he is going to make once he has done the changes, he is going to push his changes to the Git repository. From the Git repository, the changes are going to be pushed on the Puppet master server. Then from the Puppet master server, it's going to be executed on the Puppet agents, like that. This will be our flow for the Puppet of how we execute the Puppet in our environment. Okay, clear to everyone? There is no dedicated like workstation in case of Puppet required. The actual flow should be like this. You should have the entire repository on your own machine, then make the changes, push to the Git repo, pull it on the Puppet master. Once you have all the changes, test those changes. If everything is running fine, then push to the Puppet agent. Vishal, yes. So Puppet Master, you are going to push the changes once, and then Puppet Agent is going to pull those changes and execute those changes. Okay, but you will have to continuously push the manifests, roles, run list, like that. Okay, classes. So those all comes under the Puppet. Now, one more important thing that I wanted to discuss is whenever a Puppet agent makes a call to the Puppet master, okay, this request for the catalog. Okay, we already discussed about the catalog, so it requests for the catalog. So this SSL agent is going to use the this will use the SSL. Okay, what are SSL? SSL is basically your certificates. So each Puppet agent is going to request the fingerprint and the certificate to the Puppet master. Now Puppet master has to accept that SSL certificate in order for the communication to be established between the Puppet master and the Puppet agent. All the communication between the Puppet master and the Puppet agent will be encrypted when it's flowing over the network through the SSL that has been shared. Okay, so each and everything will be encrypted, and this is how the communication between the Puppet master and the Puppet agent is going to be established. Unless and until you accept the certificate, no Puppet agent can connect to the Puppet master and make the changes. Okay, now in case see, normally what happens is whenever we are running in our production environment, the entire infrastructure has been created inside an intranet, that is a network which is comprising of the servers in our own company. So there is no external request can directly come inside our network, right? It's isolated. So whatever requests that we are receiving on the Puppet Master from the Puppet agents are normally from our own environment, right? So since it's in an intranet, right? So everything would be secure. So we can configure the Puppet Master to automatically accept the certificates in a production environment. This is particularly useful uh, in case of auto scaling environments where we are creating the servers on the fly, and then we want them to be ready as soon as possible, so we can configure the Puppet Master to automatically accept the certificates that it is being receiving from the Puppet agent, and it's going to bootstrap the entire node. Another thing here is, like, we used to have the OHI, okay, uh, in the chef, and in case of Puppet we are having what we call the factor. Okay, here is the factor. The factor is responsible for gathering all the facts. There we used to call it attributes. Okay, here we are referring to it as the facts, and same facts are being referred in the Ansible as well. Okay, so Puppet uses factor to gather the facts of the node, and on basis of those facts it's going to determine the current state and the desired state of the node. Okay, clear to everyone? All right, so anyone having any doubts in this Puppet architecture, let me know, otherwise we are going to move ahead. Okay, so Vishal, like in case of chef, we used to have an OHI language. Okay, OHI was responsible for gathering all the attributes in the chef and make it available on the chef server, where we can use it inside our own cookbooks and recipes. Similarly, in case of Puppet, instead of OHI, we are having factor. Okay, instead of attributes, we call it facts. So whenever the Puppet agent is installed first time, it makes a call to the Puppet master for the catalog. Okay, and at the same time it provides all of these facts using the factor to the Puppet master, so that Puppet master knows all the information about the node. Once it has accepted the agent, okay, then all of that facts are available. We can directly use the facts in our own manifest, okay, and make the configuration changes on the basis of those facts. Okay, this we are going to cover in our example, like when we are going to do the lab for the Puppet. At that time I will show you how you can gather the facts using the factor, and how you can dynamically use those facts inside your manifest to resolve and take a logical decision. Now Puppet supports the logical decisioning, right? So you can run something like, if, okay, if a condition matches, do this. Okay, so those type of logical reasoning is also supported by Puppet, and that we are going to cover in the example of the Puppet that we are going to take. Okay, all right, so let's move ahead. Let's clear this. Okay, okay, now the Puppet server, okay, runs on port 8140. So basically the Puppet master is listening on 8140 port for all the requests that it's getting from the Puppet agent. Okay, so 8140 should be allowed in your firewall, okay, for all the agents. So you can open it in your own intranet subnet, so that all the it can listen from the request from all the Puppet clients. And you need to run the Puppet client as the root user, because the Puppet client is going to implement the configuration changes. For implementing the configuration changes, it should have the permissions to call your package manager and other things. So the Puppet client needs to be running as the root user for uh, making all the changes, and then only you will be able to install and configure the changes. Okay, and uh, Puppet client runs after every 60 minutes automatically, or if you want, you can reduce the time through cron. Let's say you call the Puppet agent after every 30 minutes, 15 minutes, it's up to you. Okay, another thing is Puppet agent is also idempotent. Just like Chef, you can keep on calling Puppet agent again and again, but if the desired state has already been implemented, then it's not going to make any changes to the server. Okay, and third is via mcollective. So you can manually call the Puppet agent as well, like automatically from the remote. You can call the mcollective, and then it's going to implement all the changes. Okay, and I already cleared about the SSL certificates, which the Puppet master has to accept from the Puppet agent in order for the communication to start between the Puppet master and the Puppet agent. Okay, and so basically, whenever it accepts, it's known as the signing of the certificate. Like it signs the certificate, it accepts. Okay, and it also supports the automatically client certificates can be accepted on the master if required. All right, here is an architecture for a standalone Puppet server. Okay, a standalone Puppet server is the one where all the Puppet agents are connecting to one Puppet master only and getting all the information. Then Puppet master also comes with a cluster form as well, where you can create the multiple nodes, and it also supports the active passive version as well. Okay, and you can run the Puppet agent on the Linux system, Mac OS X, Windows. It's supported everywhere, so you can run the Puppet directly on each of these nodes and control those servers through the Puppet master. All right, let's talk about the Puppet master. Okay, and so, Sanjay, normally what happens is you are going to create a Puppet repo. All the code will reside on the Puppet server, Puppet master server. Okay, that's an actual code. Okay, now you are going to take that code for the collaboration purpose with your team. You are going to take a you are going to push everything inside the Git, and then whenever you want to deploy anything on the Puppet master, then you are going to take a pull from the Git and make the changes like that. You are never going to do directly changes on the Puppet master. You will always commit the changes, review the code, and then merge your changes and take a pull on the Puppet master. This is how it will work normally. So Git repo will is there for versioning everything. Whatever changes someone is pushing, those needs to be version on the inside the Git repo. Okay. All right. So now Puppet agent, okay, usually keeps on running in the backend, and after every 60 minutes, it's going to run again and fetch the catalog and execute the commands again, so that there is no divergence in the desired state. Okay. So you can say that after every 60 minutes, the Puppet is going to fetch the catalog and execute the changes. Okay, and so we already discussed about this for the Puppet agent. Uh, the main function of the Puppet agent is that it gets the catalog, and once it has received the catalog, it will execute the changes. Finally, when the changes have been executed on the node, it's going to communicate the status of the changes back to the Puppet master, so that you are aware about any of the failures which has been received by the Puppet uh, agent. Okay, so if something fails, then it's going to report back to the Puppet master, and you will be getting to know. Okay. And all the work will be done by the Puppet agent itself. Now it's possible, see what happens is, whenever you are running any of the configuration management tools, then certain changes are going to be implemented in your environment, right? Whenever you are going to run the Puppet agent, now it's possible to run the Puppet agent in a no op mode. What is no op mode? Basically, it's like a dry run. Okay, that is, it's going to show you, when you are going to run the Puppet agent, what changes would be applied to your environment. Okay, it's not going to do the changes, it's just a dry run to see what changes would be happening. Because sometimes when you are running the web servers or some other servers like that, then you wanted to see what all changes would be implemented when you run the Puppet agent before running it. Otherwise it might cause an outage if it's not being properly written or something like that. So you wanted to, or some local changes are that. Okay, so you wanted to see what all changes would be there, so you can run it in the no op mode. In that case, it's just going to show you all the changes that's going to be implemented, but it's not going to do it. Once you have verified the changes, then you can remove the no op mode and then run the Puppet agent normally. Then it's going to implement the changes. We are going to use the no op mode in our lab session. There it will become more clear to you. Okay. And uh, you can run the Puppet agent through cron as well to reduce the timings. Then you can run the Puppet agent manually as well. Okay, and through the M collective as well. Another thing is, you can run the Puppet as masterless Puppet as well. Now, what is masterless Puppet? In that case, the Puppet agent is not going to make a call to the Puppet master, but rather get the information locally which is available, and execute that on the node locally. Okay, so that's another way of running the masterless Puppet, but I haven't seen any of the, like, much of the implementation for the masterless. The main reason is, in that case, you will have to manage the configuration on each and every Puppet node itself, so it automatically is not the good way of doing it, right? But if you want, you can do it for the masterless Puppet. And then there is the Puppet open source as well for managing the small set of servers. But if you are having a larger environment, then the Puppet enterprise is being recommended. So we are going to use the Puppet enterprise in our case. All right, so that's all for today. Let's Puppet language. Let's continue on this tomorrow. Okay. So anyone having any doubts from Chef or Puppet that we have discussed till now? Do let me know. Otherwise, we are going to cover the complete the Puppet tomorrow, by tomorrow. Anyone having any questions? Guys, I would suggest you to practice more on the chef side. Okay, take more examples from the chef supermarket and practice more. If you get stuck at some point, you can send out a mail to me. Okay, and I will help you resolve the issues. Okay, anyone having any doubts? No. All right, then thanks everyone for attending the session today. We are going to work on the Puppet tomorrow and complete the Puppet by tomorrow. Okay. That's all for the today's session. Ending the session now. See you all tomorrow. Thanks.